Parents and their kids continued to rally at the state capitol this afternoon.
Announced that gun violence has officially become the leading cause of death in kids under 19.
When an 18-year-old entered Daniel's school in Uvalde, Texas, armed with an AR-15.
That an active shooter was on this campus.
Well, as gun violence continues to rise across the country.
Gun violence, a public health crisis.
When the shooting.
Gun violence.
Guns.
Gun violence.
Gun violence.
Violence. Gun.
Gun violence refers to the use of firearms to threaten, injure, or kill individuals. This is a big issue, not only in the United States, but globally. Types of gun violence include homicides, suicides, assaults, and mass shootings. The impact of gun violence does not only affect the victims, but also affects their families, communities, and even entire nations. In the United States, gun violence is a frequent problem that happens by factors such as easy access to firearms, social inequality, and mental health issues.
Firearms in school shootings are legally obtained by either the family member or the shooter.
Access to guns plays a significant role in the frequency and the lethality of these incidents.
In the United States, there was 300 recorded cases of school shootings in 2024.
Shooting can cause loss of life, severe injuries, and long-lasting trauma for survivors.
Do we have the courage right here in this body to imagine the phone call parents across Uvalde received last week? The phone call that confirms our fear, our singular fear that my child is dead and that I was unable to protect them, because I know that phone call. Parents across the country know that phone call. It's a sucker punch to my stomach every time I learn there's another phone call. A phone call that brings you to your knees when the desperation will not let you stand, that leaves you gasping for air when the agony will not let you breathe.
In some states, the shooter's behavior might have allowed someone to raise a red flag and alert authorities that he might be a danger to others and prevent him from obtaining a firearm, but Texas has no such law. These must be federal laws. Again, a red flag law would have stopped the shooter from obtaining these deadly weapons and saved so many precious lives. And they shouldn't be able to opt in. It should be the federal law. As a country, we banned the sale of assault weapons for 10 years, but when the ban expired, we saw a tripling of number of active shooter incidents, a tripling in the average number of people murdered in active shooter incidents, and the mass shootings, the schools shootings, the grocery store shootings have continued unabated.
We've got to bolster security so that if a psycho wants to walk through the front door and kill a bunch of children, they're not able to. And again, as a parent, do I want my kid's school to have additional security? No, of course I don't. I don't want my kids to go to school in a place where they feel like you've got to have additional security, but that is increasingly the reality that we live in. And a bunch of my colleagues in the Senate, we actually worked on legislation that would give schools more resources to bolster their security, because if these psychos are going to have to go after our kids, we've got to be prepared for it. We don't have to like the reality that we live in, but it is the reality that we live in, and we got to deal with it.
That's heartbreaking, but that's an experience that many Americans like myself and other Black and brown people experience on a daily basis. This ignorance from our politicians and from our officers for our safety is something that we experience on a daily basis. And that isn't an American ideal. We need to readjust our priorities so that our young people can be safe. No child should die at a school. No child should be murdered in our country at all. And so I'm extremely heartbroken for all of the families and want to extend as much love and care as I can to those families.
Well, I mean, like, we've been able to pass gun laws around the country in state legislatures, especially where we've seen the most action, even in places like Florida. That were entirely controlled at the time following the shooting at my high school by a Republican state legislature. We were able to raise the age to buy guns to 21, and we were able to change gun laws there and pass a red flag law. And just recently, last after Uvalde, we saw the first passage of a gun law in 30 years that closed the boyfriend loophole, that enabled the Columbine shooters to be armed in the first place. That should have happened decades ago, and I'm glad that it's now happened, but we still have so much more work that we have to do.
Many individuals believe that owning a gun would benefit to their needs. They strongly argue that taking away their firearm would be violating the Second Amendment, which states everyone has the right to own a gun. Others use them for hunting purposes, to gather food, to feed their families. The most common opinion would be for protection. As years go by, more and more robberies or breaking and entering is happening. While all of these are right, these reasons don't outweigh the risks guns bring to society. We should have stricter gun regulations and run in detail harsh background checks. This would make our communities more safer and prevent more deaths from developing.